Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe good afternoon, depending on when you're joining us from. I just asked, where were people joining us from? And so far, we've gotten a lot of answers. We have people from different places in Spain, from London, from Pakistan, from Turkey, from Chile, from India, lots of people, Dubai, of course. So Argentina, we have a little bit of everything. So some people have woken up really, really early, and some people are still joining us quite late. Stratos is one of the people joining us from Washington who's woken up really early today to be here with us. Stratos Tabulaureas is a principal energy advisor from the IFC. And also here with us today, Carlos Rodriguez, who is the country manager Australia for ATAT Renewables, the technical side of ATAT Insights. And we are here today to talk about how to build a financial business case for PV projects with batteries. We know batteries are new technologies. Solar is very well known by now. We've put hundreds of thousands of megawatts in the grid. So it's no surprise for banks when we go with our PV plant. But when it comes to batteries and adding batteries into these sorts of projects, things get a little bit harder. We do have plenty of cases already, pilots and also larger commercial applications, batteries of different kinds, even PV with batteries, but they are few and far between, and the knowledge is still not very well shared or, as universal as it should be. But we are going through an acceleration process. There is a lot of interest. There is a lot of dynamism in the battery industry, and the prices are coming down very strongly. There's also a need for more connected 24-hour renewable energy. So in this webinar, in the skill development program for renewable energy professionals, we're going to hear a little bit about the market in general and how Carlos, in the case of technical advisor, would look at making the case. And we're also going to hear from Stratos on the IFC that is involved, and they're involved already in this type of projects, and they're looking to be involved more, either directly or through other banks as well, working with other institutions. So first of all, I'd just like to ask you a quick question, very quick, to all of you, and it's really easy, really. Who do you think will be the main users of batteries in the next 3 to 5 years? That is, who do you think is going to be the main buyer of batteries who will be deploying them? Will the utilities take the lead? Do you think it will be the utilities saying, we're going to be the ones managing these loads when they're needed? Will the operators be? When I mean the operators, I mean the IPPs. So will the IPPs say, yes, I'll have my plant and I will sell the energy when it's most interesting to me? Will it be the grid operators? So we'll be the ones that decide, we are going to decide where is needed what power, or will there be different players? So I'm just going to give you a few more seconds, okay? I can see in my little screen there that only 50% of you voted. So come on, you guys. There is a few left of you, just a few last votes. We just want to make sure that we have, a quorum. So is it the utilities that are going to lead the cost? Is it the IPPs that are going to lead the cost? Is it the grids that are going to lead the cost? Different people. Bear in mind, at the end of the day, this is a challenge, technically in many ways, bringing different companies out of their comfort zone, but it's also an opportunity for profit maximization, for shift loading. So what do you think? Okay, we have 75% of people voting, so I'm going to end the poll now. And this is what we're seeing. Most people believe that it's going to be the grids who are going to lead this effort, followed by the IPPs. So, maybe you guys find this surprising. I don't know, maybe let's start with this. Stratos, do you think this is surprising, this poll?
Well, I must say, Belen, I don't want to put you on the spot, but the categories were a little bit confusing. What is utilities? I think you're going to see storage being used throughout. Before the meter, after the meter, with the transmission system operator. Sometimes it will be bundled with the power generation assets. It all depends on regulation and power market design and the specifics of each grid. So it's very difficult to say that the one would use it more than others.
This is a good point, actually. Each market in energy is different because it's so reliant on regulation. So I guess this is something that we should take into consideration. You can't talk about an energy market in general. Carlos, whenever you're ready, share your screen and maybe give us also your take, and then you can start with your presentation. Thank you.
Okay, so let's share the screen.
Can you make that large for us, please?
Yeah.
And go to slide 1. Thank you.
Just a minute. So in the meantime, I will say that I totally agree with the Stratos. One of the most interesting points concerning storage is that they can provide multiple services. So there are multiple options also in the business to each kind of battery and type of services. So it's very difficult to say who will be just an all individual actor. I think it will be more multiply of options and actors in the market. So, well, my name is Carlos Rodriguez. I'm the country manager of Astron Technical Advisor of ATAT Renewables in Australia. And today we will be talking about storage systems. We will be focused on utility scale projects, PV projects, but we will also talk about other subsectors such as rooftop and so on. So just allow me to do a brief introduction about ATAT Renewables. We are an technical advisory group. We are composed by 4 companies: ATAT Advisory, ATAT Engineering, CIRI, that is focused on certification, and also ATAT Insight, that, as you know, it's organizing this webinar. Well, we have received a lot of interest coming from our clients about the storage system, mainly because they are looking for new solutions and new business model and business opportunities. So storage is the most popular interest now coming from our clients. So let's talk about it. We wanted to begin talking about the value chain and also how we see the sector, the distribution of the sector. Well, as I said, one of the most interesting points concerning a storage system is that an electricity storage project can unlock multiple revenue streams from the provision of a wide range of services. This may require some changes in the market structure and in the regulation, or even the creation of new markets, for example, for ancillary grid services. But we think that the industry will overcome this challenge. So as we see, the market now is divided in 3 main groups. That is customer services, ISO RTO services, and utility scale services. As I said, storage can provide a wide range of different services, and we have classified 13 type of services that you can see in the slide. I won't go into the detail, but they are there. We want also to highlight the role that storage will have in the change of paradigm, in the change of the model from a centralized model to a distributed model. This change will take some years or even decades, but however, we think that's the sense of the sector and the market evolution. For example, some experts are highlighting that behind the meter services may be one of the most important services for storage system. They are already, but they are very optimistic concerning this distributed new model. Well, concerning utility scale and concerning also the growth of and the evolution of the storage market, there are different opinions. Some said that will be utility scale project who will lead the growth of storage systems. For example, here we can see a figure coming from Navigant that states that utility scale will be the main application for the new capacity installation projects. Anyway, what we really think that storage will cause a very big impact in the whole renewable industry, because if the renewable industry continue to grow in the same ratio that is growing now, it will need a storage system in order to provide them the reliability that they need to continue with its penetrations in the electric grid. We can see here a very optimistic graphic, but however, what we wanted to show is that the relation between both industries, and as we said, we hope that storage will be the tsunami that will finally boost the already growing renewable industry. Here we can see another forecast, this time coming from IRENA. IRENA is more, how to say, more optimistic concerning rooftop industry, and they state that the growing of the storage system will be as big in utility scale project as in rooftop PV projects. They are very, very optimistic concerning the commercial side of the industry. So it's another point of view different for those who state that utility scale will be the leading type of projects. Concerning utility scale projects, IRENA said that today the installed capacity, not today, in the mid of 2017, it was 10 gigawatt hour, and they state that if the renewable industry continue to grow as it's growing now, the installation of the storage system will need to grow at least 4 or 7 times the actual size. So quite optimistic. Let's talk about the different technologies. We can see here some of the main technologies present now in the market. Well, pumped storage is very well known in the industry, and their commercial viability has been proven in worldwide. The feedback that we are receiving for the industry is that lithium-ion is the preferred options nowadays. Maybe the reason is because of its flexibility. I mean, they can provide a great amount of energy in short period of time, but also they can perform providing short amount of energy, but in longer period. So they are quite versatile. They are quite flexible. Concerning the prices, I wanted to illustrate how we see the cost evolutions. We participate in 2013 in a project in Puerto Rico with Prepa Utility. We helped them with the minimum technical specification criteria, and we work with some storage solutions. Those days, a container with 1 megawatt and 420 kilowatt hour of storage, the cost of this container was near $1 million. Of this $1 million, $800,000 was for the storage solutions. The last information that we have for the actual price of the battery is that the prices have going down at least a half of this original price, and that for 2020, for the year 2020, the prices could even be reach the $200,000, so 4 times lower than the prices that we considered in 2013. Also, another examples or another numbers concerning this how the prices have come down. The cost of lithium-ion batteries have fallen by as much as 73% between 2010 and 2016 for transport applications, so batteries that have been used for electric vehicles. And also in Germany, for the small scale industry, lithium-ion battery, the cost of lithium-ion battery has decreased nearly 60% from 2014 to 2017. Also, the lifetime of lithium battery have improved a lot, and some experts are forecasting that the lifetime could increase even 50% by 2030. So it seems that lithium-ion is taking the lead, but we'll see how the market evolves. This is a IRENA forecast for the potential cost reduction that each technology of storage system have. However, well, it's quite the same, more or less. But we think that if the investment prefer lithium-ion, the cost reductions for this technology will be bigger than for the rest of technology. But we'll see, because this is still a very new industry, and we can see a lot of changes. I wanted to also to bring some news, mainly from Australia, the country that where I'm based. So the Tesla project, a very well-known project, a lot of news, a lot of tweets coming from Elon Musk, that is a very marketable guy. Well, but it seems that the Tesla project finally is having a great success. As he said in the news, Tesla enormous battery in Australia, just weeks old, is already responding to outage in a record time. Is responding even more quickly than the coal-fired backup. This is very important because in Australia there are a lot of concern regarding the grid reliability. So very good news, not only for Tesla but for the whole industry of storage, because that will bring the attention of potential investors to the market. Well, proof of this is that Tesla has been chosen to build another big battery in Australia after the first succeed, and we hope that we will see up-and-coming projects not only in Australia but in the whole world. So these news are very important. And also changing the country, coming from US, also new record for the price for renewable process storage projects. This is an auction organized by Xcel Energy and utility of US, and have received bids where the price was 36 per megawatt hour. That was, I think, 20% lower than the precedent record. So these are some signals that, well, the cost, it seems to be going down, and very optimistic forecast. I wanted to end my presentation with a simplified case study that we did some months ago. Some results must be updated because it was made with old information. But however, I wanted to show that there is a great interest in the industry, and we are working on it. We are working in order to understand this technology better and to provide our clients the best services as possible. So thank you very much for your attention, and this will be the end of my presentation. I hope you have found some useful information.
Thank you very much, Carlos. Okay, so just stop sharing, and now I think it's time for Stratos to take the stage. There's a lot of questions in regards to this specific project in Australia. Obviously, this is, can you just stop sharing your screen? Thank you. This is something that really Tesla should be answering. Hopefully, you know, we can reach out to them and maybe get also them to speak in a webinar. Carlos, you're still showing the screen. I don't know if you can.
Yeah, yes.
If you don't mind, leave that slide there. It's okay, whatever.
Okay.
No, it's okay.
Okay, go on then. Stratos, give us your point of view.
Hi. As I assume some of you may not know what IFC is doing, the International Finance Corporation that I'm working for, it's part of the World Bank Group. World Bank Group has two main components. It actually has four, but the important ones are two. One is the World Bank that is lending to governments and government-owned organizations in developing countries, only in developing countries, because somebody asked me, what do we do in Australia? We don't do anything in Australia. And IFC provides loans or equity to private companies and projects, again, in developing countries. So I'm working for IFC, mostly in developing countries. On the topic of the energy storage, this is a very interesting technology that we're following, and we're eager to find opportunities to invest. The biggest challenge, though, in terms of financing with private money storage is to secure adequate revenue stream and manage risks. I mean, if I were to summarize in one sentence, that's what I will say. So how do you secure a revenue stream? The difficulty, as Carlos pointed out with storage, is that storage does a lot of different things. And the regulation and the power market design are not structured in a way to give storage what it deserves. It can be a reserve when a generating plant goes offline to provide energy or capacity quickly or for a longer period of time. But at the same time, it can help in frequency control. It can help in a number of other things. And if you ask, how am I going to be compensated for doing frequency reserve? Most of the markets, especially in developing countries, do not have balancing market and ancillary services market. So there's not a mechanism really to get revenue. So what we've seen so far is we've seen what I will call single focus applications that they hope to get additional revenue from the other things that the battery provides. And one parenthesis here, not all batteries are created equal, and not all batteries can do everything. So because there is often the oversimplification that battery can do everything. You have to design the battery with certain specifications for certain application. And it does some other things, but it cannot do everything. So usually what we have is we have batteries that have been procured for a specific application. For example, in the UK and in the PJM in the northeastern United States, they have procured batteries for ancillary services. In California, they have procured batteries for firm capacity during peak demand. In Chile, they have procured capacity mainly for reserve. So you see application-specific projects. Other things that are very prevalent, and I think we're going to see more and more, is there are countries that they have severe curtailment because they have not developed their power grid and they have put too much wind and solar. An example is China. So you can locate batteries strategically around the power grid to reduce curtailment. You can, of course, locate the battery close to the power generation asset. So there's a lot of cases where you locate it with the wind turbines or the PV plant. Recently, offshore wind is a case where increasingly it has more and more storage. Congestion management in the power grid, you may have issues with a particular power line. And instead of replacing the power line immediately, you can delay for 5-10 years by locating, again, in the right location, storage. A lot of people are looking at arbitrage, that is, buy electricity at a low price if the market is such that you have time of use tariff and a competitive market. Buy overnight, store it, and sell it when there is a peak and the price is higher. So this has to do with securing adequate revenue to get a payback. Also, you have to manage risks. The risk, I will put them into three categories: performance risks, commercial document risks, and cost. On the performance risk, I must say here, because Belen asked me what technologies, battery technologies we will invest. Because we work in developing countries, we will not invest in any technology that is considered not commercially available. And there are some subjective criteria in terms of how you characterize whether a technology is commercially available or not. I mean, it has to be operating for at least a couple of years in multiple sites, demonstrating good performance and reliability. The suppliers have to provide guarantees and so on and so forth. So ion batteries for us today is commercial technology. We still need to pay attention to the specifics, the supplier, the specific product, and so on, but we consider it commercial technology. And so performance risks, we try to look at the supplier, the credibility that he has, the guarantees that he provides. We may require additional insurance. We may bring a third party to do certain validation or performance testing. But we feel that performance at the end of the day, it's not a major issue for storage, with the exception of the lifetime expectancy. Is this battery going to live 15 years or 20 or 10? So that's a big difference. And again, we try to deal with this in dealing with the supplier. Power purchase agreement, the commercial documents are not really standardized. There's not really a document that we will consider adequate at this point. But we have, again, to go back to the point that the PPA needs to be crafted for the specific application. So depending on what kind of application the battery is going to be in, it may be different. I'll tell you a little bit later on what we are doing internally at IFC on the PPAs. The cost of the battery. And it's not just the initial cost. I mean, we have to remember that today the cost is still higher. And I will take an issue with some of the curves that Navigant had in there, you know, showing the compressed air being the lowest. I don't think that compressed air, it's very site specific. You have to look at geology, and personally I haven't been convinced yet that it's the lowest cost option. The lowest cost option, if you have it, is a storage hydro, okay? But storage hydro, the scale is huge. So you cannot really have a little storage hydro, right? So they're almost two different, you know, they're apples and oranges when you compare batteries with storage. Again, it comes back to the specific configuration of your system. Cost, especially with regard to performance degradation and replacement of the battery. When are you going to have to replace the battery? That's a bit of an uncertainty. So these are the main risks that I would say on to finance. What do we do at IFC? We looked at the batteries, and again, as I said, we're very eager to identify opportunities to finance them. And we took a little bit of a risk, and we said, let's focus on one of these applications and see whether we can make it work. This is bundling battery with renewables, either wind or solar, and we started with solar. So we review what is available around the world in terms of the battery suppliers. We revise our technical specifications. We know who are the credible suppliers of batteries are that we are willing to invest in. We're in the process now for updating the commercial documents. Some of you may know that we have an initiative called the Scaling Solar Initiative, which is a standardized approach to procuring solar. So we will have soon an initiative that is called Scaling Solar Plus Storage. The World Bank, which is financing public projects, is financing a number of storage projects. I do not know the complete list, but Marshall Islands in the Pacific comes to mind. They're involved in India, which is putting a lot of renewables, wind and solar, and there is need for strengthening the local grid and a number of other places. So if it's okay, I will stop at this and we can go to the Q&A session.
You know, I just actually wanted to remind you, you said something about, you would make a note about what, in terms of PPAs, what you internally do in IFC.
Yes, I mean, this is what I said, that this is what we're doing. We're updating the Scaling Solar PPA to be suitable for scaling solar and storage.
This is huge news, and just to understand, this Scaling Solar is available anywhere where you operate, so that is in like...
Well, scaling solar is not rocket science, it's an approach, okay? And I mean, we work in developing countries. And one more thing that I need to mention, the Scaling Solar Plus Storage, we're focusing at peak shifting. That is to store energy when demand is low but the sun is out, and then provide this energy back to the user in early evening hours when demand is usually at peak in most countries.
So low shifting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question. First of all, before we start with the questions, we have a lot, very specific questions, some of them. A lot of them about technology that I don't know to what extent we're going to be able to answer because we are not necessarily technologists. But the first question is storage as a service. You know, this is something that now it's been, you know, mentioned a few times. AES, for example, is saying, you know, that they may follow this model or some of their services would be this. Will this be easier than simply, you know, the normal selling technology approach? Would it be better for you from the point of view of a lender?
Belen, I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Oh, okay. So there are some companies that are looking at actually giving storage as a service. So that is, instead of you buying the batteries, they provide, you know, whatever storage, and they look after the technological things. Will this make it easier for you as a lender? And how will it make it easier?
Well, we lend throughout the spectrum. I mean, if it's a grid application and it's a large investment, we will invest there. If it's an industrial user that wants to do something in his facilities, we'll do that. If it's a rooftop, we will have a credit line to a local bank, and we'll make sure that they're capable of evaluating this kind of projects and on lend to individual users in small amount of money. So we position ourselves to operate throughout the spectrum.
Okay, a lot of questions in regards to Stratos in the IFC and the World Bank, what you guys are doing in terms of storage projects, you know. One here, for example, can you please explain more regarding getting finance from the World Bank for developing countries for storage? The process as such, that is how to apply, who can apply, through whom, you know, who do you need to get involved?
The process is the same as every other project. And this is an opportunity for me to emphasize that we're not in the business of promoting any technology. I made this comment in Seville last month, and a lot of people misunderstood it. We're technology agnostic. We love new technologies. We try to make sure, usually with new technologies, there are barriers because the system has been designed with the understanding of the older technologies. So that is not fair. And we are on the side of the new technologies to make sure that there is a level playing field, but we are not promoting new technologies. So in terms of the process, it's the regular process in the World Bank. You have to go through the Ministry of Energy or the Ministry of Finance or the power company if it's a vertically integrated. If it's an open market, as it is in many cases, you really have to study the market and it will be clear how do you get in. Usually with the World Bank, you have to go through some government organization. If the market is open up and it's their private developers that they're operating there, if you have a project, you have a feasibility study, you are convinced that this is a viable project. In other words, the test may be, are you willing to put your own money into this project? Then you come to us directly and to IFC and present your case and say, I want 20% equity or 25% loan for this particular project, or to invest in the company that you have. And we'll evaluate it and we'll tell you yes or no. So it's very simple.
So what are the recommendations in terms of power market regulations and market design in order to develop storage initiatives?
Well, that's the $60 million question. And I don't think that even the developing countries have it right. It's complicated because in a vertically integrated sector, the approach has been for the regulator to look at all the costs that the utility have incurred. And the question is, are they reasonable? Are they required? Okay. And if the answer is yes, yes, it goes into the rate base, into the tariff. And when you unbundle the sector and one organization is providing this and the other one providing that, that is, let's say high voltage, low voltage, you have so many generators and so on. It's very difficult to decide, you know, who's doing frequency control. I mean, frequency control, maybe it's the easiest, but because it's a transmission system operator. But what if a generator puts a battery that helps the transmission operator in something in frequency control? There's no mechanism to get some revenue from that. So I think that the power market design is the focal point of most people that understand the power sector. And they're trying to figure out, ideally, it's good to have energy market, you know, day-ahead market, balancing market, capacity market, you know, all these things. But I don't know many countries or any countries that they have the market design perfectly. So I think the way storage is going to go is there will be some regulatory initiatives to make sure that there is level playing field, or in some cases even preferential treatment of the batteries. And then we'll move on, we'll learn from this experience, and slowly we'll move in the right direction.
Excellent. Okay, so this is a very specific one, Stratus. Are there grants for feasibility studies for storage projects from you guys or the World Bank?
The answer is yes and no. I mean, there's no grant that I know that it's labeled for storage for specific markets. But at the same time, if you operate in a developing country, let's say somewhere in Africa, and you want to, you have identified a project, in most cases, you will be able to identify money from bilaterals, from different organizations. And we are in touch with these organizations, and we know what is available for what country. So if you know the market, if you have a good project, chances are you'll be able to find money for a feasibility study.
Okay, so this is actually like, there are a few people here that are saying, okay, how do I get in touch? How do I learn more about, you know, what the World Bank is doing, the IFC is doing? Do you have a website or a contact or something that people can find out more?
Actually, that's a great idea. I mean, we have a website for scaling solar, and we intend to put information in there about the storage component of this scaling solar plus storage initiative. But I think you give us a good idea that we should have a website, and we will let you know. I mean, we'll inform the audience of this webcast, and we should be able to do this very soon.
This is excellent. So, because a lot of the questions are around, like, how do I go about, you know, doing this? And the questions kind of go in two levels. One that kind of when I just have a chat with you and see how, you know, they can go ahead and do it. And it doesn't matter whether you're from Tanzania or from Argentina. There is an opportunity there, and there is, you know, obviously it's very important. This is renewable energy. We've seen them even, you know, some 1 points out here at negative prices in Europe. You know, people being paid to take the energy, and how can we actually unleash this this information? So the IFC and the World Bank do have the services. You know, you can help, you can work with them. You have to work through institutions. There is a process to go over, and the people you have to contact. But all of this information you can get from the IFC website. We will be spreading information to you, all of you guys, links when there is a website for scaling PV with storage. And because there are so many little questions that are very specific, we won't take this, but there are a couple of questions more that I just want to take here. Regarding Australia, Carlos, also for you, you know, they say, okay, this is a big market for PV. How does the Tesla project works? How big is its impact, you know, because it's 100 megawatts. And one of the attendees actually says here, Tesla is 30% arbitrage, 70% contracted to the grid for frequency response. So this is a question to Felipe Hernandez, and one had asked this specific question. So the business model is 30% arbitrage, 70% contracted to the grid for frequency response. So this from you, since there's so many questions about Australia, and you know Australia quite well, you know, you're still learning. You know, what is the impact of storage going to have in Australia, particularly considering that things look good, and this new project? We have to say that it's still early days, right? The problems with storage projects come later, not earlier, I suppose.
Yeah, I would say that there are two main characteristics of Australia that made storage very suitable for the country. One is that they have a serious problem with the electric grid, and the other one is that there are a lot of off-grid installation that is coming from the mining industry. So there are a lot of installation that will need off-grid source of energy. They were typically using diesel, diesel energy solution, but they are now shifting to a storage solution. So that's one. For utility scale projects, as you say, it's still very early days, but there are a lot of up and coming projects that are still in the development phase. So also the lenders are still quite conservative because they want to see how the project goes. And we have seen a different business model. We have even seen 100% merchant financed project. That is quite uncommon. But so I think that it's a matter of time of see what are the results of this project that have been developing now. Concerning Tesla, it was a very I wouldn't say polemic, but say strange project, because even the CEO of Neoen said that they wasn't expecting a lot of revenue coming from this project. That was more marketing importance. And I think, however, that this project will have a great role, a great impact if the good results continue to come to the market, because it's a very popular project. Everybody knows about it, and each news that comes from this project is read or listened for thousands and thousands of people. So it can help to attract the attention of potential investment.
Definitely, it's building up momentum. It is true that at least you have to signal to the market we're ready for business, right? But 100 megawatts, it was a very large project.
Yeah.
Just one very last question, and this one is for Stratos, and then we'll let you guys go for today. It's also regarding the same question that everybody's asking you. How do I get you to give me money, Stratos? How do I get you to give me money? So the question is, do you have guidelines or recommended practices in terms for due diligence and bankability that system integrators can use for submission of a project financial evaluation? So is this information anywhere where we can find it?
Unfortunately, we don't have anything in writing. I think this is an industry practice that we follow. I mean, we do the project appraisal, and very often we hire consultants to work with us. But we do not plan to do anything different in storage than we did in every other technology. So it's a thorough review of, is the technology commercially available? Does the supplier have a track record of delivering products that perform both in terms of performance and reliability for a long period of time? Does he have the financial depth to get behind the guarantees that he is providing? And then it's, how the storage integrates with whatever you put it together. If you put it with a generating asset, how the two work together, the controls, dispatching, and so on and so forth. So unfortunately, we don't have anything that is specific to batteries, because I think we plan to use an industry approach to appraisal.
So it works as any other item from what I can see. You contact technical advisors and you start building a case with that whilst working with the banks, right?
Yeah. One other thing that an important element that I forgot to mention. In terms of risk mitigation, many of us, we think that if you bundle a battery with a larger project, so if the battery cost is, let's say, 10% of a project, that's one way of mitigating the risks. And at the beginning, I think a lot of people will gravitate to put storage with the generating assets, especially wind and solar, even though as a power system person, if you look at the broader system, you will conclude, if you do an analysis, that the more rational thing to do is to have the transmission or the system operator decide where you put batteries, what performance characteristics, and when. But I think you're going to see at the beginning more and more projects bundled with the power generation components.
Well, that's all we have time for this time around. I'd like just to thank everybody, you know, Stratos, of course, Carlos, very much so as well, all of our attendees that were there, media partners, and so on. We hope to keep on going with this topic. It's the very beginning of this specific technology, so there's a lot to learn still. There are a lot of other people out there with knowledge as well, so we'll try to tap into that. But thank you very much for being the brave people, you know, that put in the first words there. It's been great hearing from you, and there's a lot of questions related to what, you know, the IFC and the World Bank is going to do, so hopefully we'll see more of that. Thank you, Stratos. Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
And, we hope to see you in the next webinar of the Skill Development Program for Renewable Energy Professionals. Feel free anytime to send us emails with information of what you would like to hear more. Thank you very much for everything. See you soon. Bye.